webinars, different kind of clubs, sports and culture, and all that to kind of improve, to develop your well-being and support your well-being. And also that's important, I think, for the community aspect, so that we can do things also together, have celebrations and parties and all that as well. And then we have this competence and career development. I have here raised some points about that. So if you start in our project, you will have a thorough induction at first for the job, and then you have also an induction training program, which is required everyone to participate. We have also annually personal development discussions. So there you can discuss with your manager about your career aspirations, your development needs, your well-being and motivation questions. And based on those discussions, you have a possibility to develop yourself, for example, through training, which is really important in our project and company, and in this industry in general, I would say. Then we have coaching, mentoring, and as this is a complex project, yeah, well, you learn quite a lot just by doing and by learning from others as well. Then you can have different career steps, so that, for example, all our open positions are available also for our internal applicants to apply. And we support naturally that if there is a suitable position and you are kind of suitable for that, so then we encourage these internal steps. Yeah, so we have developed this kind of a career paths also to support the professional growth. So we are having the expert career path and the manager career path. These are, from our perspective, equally important. And if I would say that the expert career path is even more important. It is really crucial that we have good experts, and they have an opportunity to grow and develop and do challenging tasks during these project phases. Yeah, so now I think that I have a good moment to give the stage to my colleagues, who can then tell a little bit more about their career and their tasks in Fennovoima. So maybe we can start with Igor. I have here kind of a basic CV information, but then I let you to speak freely and tell with your own words about your background.
Yes. Paivikki, thank you very much for handling over the table. So my name is Igor Borswitzky, and once again, thank you very much for inviting me to the webinar and then giving the opportunity to share my career path. So I've been working in Fennovoima from 2019 as a tanks and vessels engineer, safety class 3 and EYT. EYT stands for non-nuclear classified. It's a Finnish abbreviation for this. So yeah. I'm mainly responsible for such equipment as, for example, condenser, which will be installed beneath the turbine building, beneath the turbine. The purpose of the condenser is to cool down the steam that exits the turbine with the seawater. A couple of other good examples would be reactor building, for example, reactor internals, protective tube unit, and then core barrel and core baffle. The purpose of these units is to house the core inside the reactor pressure vessel. All that concerns the aspects of each particular equipment and my responsibilities for this equipment. I'm responsible for equipment requirement specification, design requirements, manufacturing, commissioning, and installation during all project phases. In addition, I'm coordinating all activities related to these equipments at Fennovoima internal departments, safety authorities, and also our suppliers who are supplying the equipment. At the present moment, mainly my responsibility is limited to equipment requirement specification, equipment qualification, and design of the equipment. And the reason for this is as our project is in that phase, we haven't actually yet initiated some significant manufacturing, but this might change already during this year, and plenty of new challenges and responsibilities are expected. The main reason why I decided to join Fennovoima is the reason that, and I believe also nuclear industry, because I didn't have any experience before Fennovoima in the nuclear industry, and when joining, I had this kind of a mindset that I saw that in the nuclear industry, engineers are able to utilize themselves at the maximum extent. After all, in the nuclear industry, engineers have a burden to carry because of the all safety aspects we have to fulfill, and safety and the quality assurance, and et cetera, and we have this kind of a mindset that first time right, we don't have multiple opportunities to try many times. As you know, Fennovoima is located in Finland, and we are constructing the nuclear power plant also in Finland, and in the central side, close to Oulu, not far from Oulu. In Finland, personally, I've been staying for 3 years. Out of these 3 years, 2 years I've been working in Fennovoima. Prior to joining to Fennovoima and the nuclear industry, I saw this as an obstacle for me, because majority of the vacancies, they require prior experience in the nuclear industry, and I didn't have it. But after all, I sent my resume, and everything went out quite well. And a couple of words about recruitment process in Fennovoima. I believe it was really well organized and really swiftly done. After the moment when I sent my CV, I received a call back in 2 days after 2 rounds of interview and additional personal assessment test. I was ready to join Fennovoima. So the process was surprisingly very swift for me, and enjoyable, not stressful at all. My educational path was completed in Estonia, where I'm essentially born. So I'm a native Estonian. I graduated Tallinn's University of Applied Science as a mechanical engineer. And after graduation and before joining Fennovoima, I worked in multiple factories and manufacturing sites. Mainly these factories were manufacturing pressurized equipment for oil and gas industry and pulp and paper industry. And mainly our clients were Finnish companies, and I was, before joining Fennovoima, thanks to this experience, I had a really good awareness, understanding of the Finnish market, how the job culture, how things are done here, and etc. And so it wasn't a shock for me. And I had different positions also during the time when I worked there. For example, design engineer, project coordinator, and project manager. I would like to point out a couple of things concerning Fennovoima, concerning these voluntary positions that Fennovoima is offering, and you can participate on them, each of us, and then maybe a little bit about something concerning the pandemic. When I joined Fennovoima, and especially during this pandemic time, for me it became super clear and understandable that how the employer values their employees, because during the pandemic times our schedules have remained really flexible without jeopardizing the project schedules and the stable work environment, although that we have some restrictions because of this, and in my opinion I really value this. And yes, over the 2 years that I have been working in Fennovoima, I have had multiple experience to participate in different voluntary projects, for example, as internal audits, or joining the Finnish Nuclear Society as a Fennovoima representative. And I see this as a good benefit to grow as a young professional. If you are active, you are seeking for different opportunities, and etc., etc. For example, if we're talking about internal auditing, it's a good opportunity, especially for people and especially for me. When I just joined, I came from a small company, maximum 100 people, and Fennovoima isn't compared to this company, a big corporation. It's a corporate lifestyle. And it was a little bit overwhelming that you have so many departments and how do they interact with each other. And then this internal auditing voluntary practice, when I was auditing with the lead auditor some of our departments, it helps really well to understand the young professional how the company works, how do they interact with each other, these departments, what is the actual procedure and what procedures does the company follow. Also, I was granted an opportunity to represent Fennovoima in the Finnish Nuclear Society, and I would highly encourage newcomers to join Finnish Nuclear Society also, because they're contributing and they're sharing information for the young professionals and organizing events and conferences and presentations. For example, last year, unfortunately, due to the pandemic, we were unable to organize. But last year we were planning to organize a seminar cruise to Sweden with the presentations, and then a couple of years ago they were organized Chernobyl tour, for example, which is also very, very interesting. So I think in 2 words to conclude, my suggestion to young professionals is to be active, seek interesting opportunities, and not to be afraid of challenges. Thank you very much for the time, and thank you once again. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to speak out.
Thank you very much, Igor. It was very interesting to hear your background and also where you're from, and also kind of advertising the young generation network. I think this is also an important message for the audience, for the participants who are following us today, that to really discover in each country, there's 21 young generation networks in almost in every European country. And not only in European, but also Timothy maybe will tell you also about Australian one. But Paivikki, you know the order. Who speaks now?
Yes, I give the speech to Anne as soon as I get this slide right. Okay, please, Anne.
Thank you, and thank you for being able to be here and tell a little bit also my background and work at Fennovoima. So yes, my name is Anne Vilkman and I work as a development team manager. I have been almost 6 years already at Fennovoima, and as you can see, I've been actually in 3 different positions there. I started as a project engineer at Fennovoima without having any previous background on nuclear. I have not worked on it previously, neither studied it at all. So as you can see, I am from my educational background, I studied industrial management. And I think that's also good to notice that we have these positions for people also who have not studied energy technology or nuclear. Of course, the majority are having such kind of education, but if you don't have it, it's not preventing to apply to Fennovoima. I can a little bit tell about what our team does. So I'm leading team which has 6 persons, me including, and our responsibilities are developing the Fennovoima internal processes and related tools. So the main process is the kind of review, because now we are in the design phase. Our main activities are to review the supplier design documentation. So our unit or our team supports on that process. And I noticed that maybe someone already asked about hiring graduated, so I've been actually focusing on hiring persons who have just graduated, and I have had several trainees, and I've been very happy that I think all of them has actually then later on be employed by Fennovoima in other units or in my team. So also this summer I will have one summer trainee. Last year I had 2. And I have also been leading some theses for one person. So different kind of opportunities we do have. Maybe something else also on my background. I've been always working and studied at the same time. So I was very happy that while I've been working at Fennovoima, I've been able to complete my master studies. So I think the employer supports very well. I think as Paivikki mentioned that we really focus on people training and developing. Igor already mentioned about this Corona situation, and I can also say that I think we've been going very well despite the situation that we are all working homes at the moment. In our team, we are having every week meetings with videos so that we are closely feeling, at least closely contacting each other, but it of course requires from everyone to take the action, not to be afraid to contact people, or not to just let's say be alone with the problems, but instead of contacting and asking and seeking support actively. So I think that's something as also Igor mentioned, that be active. I would also conclude the same. Thanks.
Thank you very much. It's an important lesson, be active also, and starting while studying, also working. I think this is also develops new skills, not necessarily only in the nuclear sector, but soft skills are also very important, and also contacts with potential colleagues and so on. I think this is already developing. I mean, each person who is studying and working, I think, is developing already important skills for the future workplace. Okay, and I suppose the last but not least is Timothy Rownes, please.
Lucky last, thank you. Yes, hello everyone. Welcome to the webinar. My name's Tim Rownes. I'm Operation Planning Engineer for Fennovoima. I'll talk a little bit about my background, as Igor and Aarni have done, and a little bit about what we do, or what I've done at Fennovoima. So I studied mechanical engineering and physics undergraduate, and in Sydney, Australia, from a small town, but I studied in the city in Sydney, and I joined the ANSTO graduate program in 2011 as an engineer, and coincidentally, during the start of the graduate program, the operations unit ran reactor operator training, and I was able to join operator training there, and that's where I worked from engineering to ops for a few years, and I was able to do my Masters of Engineering Science as well in 2015 while I was working on shift at the reactor. In 2016, I qualified as a shift manager, so running operations. This is at the Opal Research Reactor just outside of Sydney. And while I was a shift manager, I joined the World Nuclear University Summer Institute in 2017 in Uppsala in Sweden. That's a program where about 70 people from maybe 40 different countries train for 6 weeks on nuclear engineering industry specific topics. And Fennovoima was one of the sponsors, and that's where I found out about the project. And I met a couple of people who worked for Fennovoima. Seemed like we visited Finland as well as being in Sweden, and seemed like a cool project, cool people to work with. So when I got back to Sydney, I just went on the website and applied, and coincidentally there was a job in operations available at the time. So I just applied online, and some Skype interviews. Maybe 5 months later, I moved to Helsinki. And that's where I've been in my job as operation planning engineer since 2018. So what have I been working on since I started in Fennovoima? In 2018, the two big topics were a root cause analysis. The cool thing about being in a new build project or a company that isn't stably, reliably operating yet is that you're able to work on a lot of different things that you might not be exposed to in an operating plant. So I was able to join a root cause analysis team for an issue we had about one of our licensing document packages. And that, like Igor said, got me involved all across the organization with different units, talking to people. And I became topical lead for the utility side, so for Fennovoima, on load following. So in the future, nuclear plants aren't going to just be base load. We need to integrate with fluctuating renewables in the grid. Hanhikivi 1 will need to change power during operation, and we need to make sure that the plant's able to do that in the design phase. In 2019, it transitioned to more design reviews. So we received a lot of packages for basic design review. So like systems, reactor systems design, turbine systems design, building layout packages, reviewing those from the operations and maintenance perspective, using the knowledge that I've got from previous work experience at an operating plant to check the designs and make sure that they're going to work for us over the long term, over the 60 years of operation. And so there's the basic design, and based on the basic design, we have the safety analysis report, the preliminary safety analysis report that supports our construction license application. And we also created a process to provide operations and maintenance input into like a multidisciplinary team that reviews the system descriptions in the licensing documentation. And it's an important part of our license application. Then in 2020, last year was remarkably productive. Again, I would say that Fennovoima did a great job about transitioning to remote work. And the two big projects for last year were, I wrote a subchapter of the preliminary safety analysis report, PSAR 13.1, describing Fennovoima's organization. So we're in the licensing phase now, and when we transition to the construction, commissioning, and finally to the operation phase, the regulator, Stuk, wants to know that we have appropriate management system plan in place for what we're going to do about resourcing and safety management throughout the project phases. So wrote that and submitted to Stuk last year, and maintainability demonstration meetings. So during the layout review, the review of the 3D model of the plant, we've got a really excellent 3D model of the whole of Hanhikivi 1. And there's something like 100 different buildings in the plant, maybe a bit more. And out of those, we selected 30, which are really important for safety or availability, for nuclear safety or for availability. And we organized in the operations and maintenance team a series of meetings directly with the building designers to talk through floor by floor the 3D model for each of these buildings. So we held about 30 different meetings last year to talk about transportations, like what components can we replace? Can we make sure that over the next 60 years we're able to upgrade and keep the plant running just as well as it did when it was brand new? So that was 2020. This year we handed over, there was an internal project to hand over design review from O&M to engineering and about training engineering so that they can do our job for us. And we are now focusing on operations unit implementation. So creating a plan for operations specifically. We're going to need to grow enormously over the coming years. When eventually we get the simulator, we start hiring and training operators. It's a long lead time process, takes around 4 years. So we're currently developing plans for that. And yeah, that's our big goal for 2021.
Sounds very interesting and exciting. Thank you very much, Timothy, for sharing this with our audience. I see there are some questions. So just to recall, this webinar is on the career opportunities at Fennovoima. So I would like to focus on these questions related to the subject. So the first question is about language. From Carlos, there's a question: how probable is that Finnish would become the main language used in the plant you are currently building?
Yeah, maybe I can answer that. So it is really difficult to say at the moment. So there are all the three options still on the table, so that it would be like English or Finnish or the hybrid model with two languages, and then it's of course there might be different ways to organize these two languages if we end up to that. So I wouldn't kind of say anything. Somehow I feel it's really difficult to change the language totally to Finnish, as we really have already so many not non-Finnish speaking employees, and of course we would like that everyone, as many as possible, could continue in this project to the operating organization as well. So we are trying to find now what would be the best. So we are considering all the pros and cons at the moment, but it's still some years ago. It depends on the position you are applying. So if you are in an engineering position, I believe that there are still some years to go in this project, as mentioned, that it takes time before we are in the operating phase. So still quite many interesting years ahead. So I hope that you are not afraid of the language issue at the moment.
And I suppose the current employees are also learning Finnish.
Yeah, that is
mandatory.
It's not mandatory, as the project language is English, so we don't require Finnish skills. But I know that there are many, like Tim knows already some Finnish at least. So some people are more eager to learn. Finnish is a difficult language, so it's one thing that we cannot really require that. But it's great how people are learning that, and we are supporting that if somebody is interested to learn.
Yeah, I think Fennovoima also supports to some extent learning Russian as well. Our supplier is from Rosatom from Russia. It's a very useful language to know for this project.
Yeah, indeed, true.
Thank you. So regarding the languages that we have answered the question. Anna, you mentioned the trainees. Do you have like a internship programs, 6 months internships programs, for example, for the graduates, or do you plan to open it in the close future?
I don't have such, but we have the summer trainees usually what we take. I think for this summer, the season to apply to those positions was already beginning of the year, and I have selected it, but the coming months or next summer, it's too early to say yet, unfortunately.
Yeah, but we don't have any plans to kind of set these internship programs as such. So we are been quite satisfied with this system of having these summer trainees, and some of the summer trainees continue as part-time interns in the company, so that at the same time they have some, well, they are usually studying at the same time, and then working as our employees.
And it was also good news for the summer interns that they are usually afterwards hired as well, because they have a chance to show their skills and learn Fennovoima. So I think this is also an important message for the people following us today. There are 2 persons coming from outside of Europe. I don't know what are your restrictions regarding the countries. There is one person from Egypt and one from India asking what are their options for working on Fennovoima.
Yes, so great options. So of course it's easier to get in if you come from the European Union, but otherwise, as mentioned, Tim is from Australia, and we have people from India and kind of Indonesia all over the America, Canada, I think. So it requires a little bit more paperwork, as you need a permission to work in Finland. So it might take a little bit longer to get all that done. So that is the only challenge. But from Fennovoima's perspective, there isn't any obstacle to come from any country.
Maybe I can briefly mention my experience, at least. Finland has, in terms of like migrant immigrant working, different tracks depending on what your role is that you're being hired for externally, and particularly if you have a master's degree or you're working in some kind of expert role, it's a special expert working permit in Finland, and it is remarkably quick and easy to do. I think, especially compared to the normal migration process.
Yeah, I agree. And Fennovoima has a good kind of a reputation, if I can use that word, among the authorities. So for example, now during this pandemic situation, the border restrictions have been really tight, and basically nobody has been allowed to enter Finland without kind of acting in a very crucial role for the society and the economy. And although we are not producing the nuclear energy yet, Fennovoima is considered to be like the kind of a company that we are among these exceptions. So it's the persons just need a kind of a paper from Fennovoima that we need that employee, and then he is able to enter.
Let's hope the coronavirus is gone anytime soon. Okay, there's a question from Lucinda. She's asking for the young, so I would like to ask if you will need in future young engineers that are in the beginning of their career. The jobs position, what you usually publish are more for more experienced people. So what about the entry jobs positions?
Yes, so that is true, and maybe I actually can show the next slide even. It might fit this topic. So if who we are looking for. So it is true that at the moment we are looking mainly for experienced people. It is just as we need to really review and approve those documents our supplier is providing and delivering to us, and we need to be sure that the plant is designed safely and constructed safely, and that is something that the experience is very important, that our employees can do that. But of course, as mentioned, we would like to get more young people as well, so young professionals, and as already discussed, the summer trainee positions are quite good, or is a good way to join Fennovoima. So in some cases we also take intern or the kind of a master thesis workers, for example, but quite often they have been working already as summer trainees before. It is also one thing that as we have quite a lot to do, we are really busy and it's really hectic. So it's sometimes challenging to our managers to supervise kind of a young professionals. So when we take young professionals, we want to be sure that we can also support them and help them on their career. So that's one reason that why we always consider quite thoroughly before we recruit young ones.
So what
maybe
are the usual...
Can I
yes.
add maybe that certainly we will have always there are some positions, but as Paivikki said, the most are who have already some experience. But I can personally say that I have found it is this especially this summer trainee very good, and I try to look the kind of trainees who I could see that have a future in the company. I think that is beneficial for the employee and the employer. So I cannot do much to encourage people to apply to these summer trainee positions.
And what are your hiring periods usually?
Hiring periods?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, the summer trainee positions are open usually in the beginning of year. So this year it was around January, February. So for this summer, we have all the positions already filled. So we had over 20 summer trainee positions. So it was our record this year. So it was really great, and the positions were all over the organization. So really in almost each department and unit in the company, so really many possibilities to work. And I would say that our summer trainee positions, they are really kind of a needed persons, and they get really good jobs to do. So they are like our own, like real, so to say, real employees. So I think that it provides a good opportunity to learn the work, and they get already responsibility as well.
I see there's also a question from Dmitro Pantin. There are a lot of project engineer positions were published before. Could you please clarify duties and responsibilities? I don't know if you are able to recall it from memory. What are exactly the requirements?
I would actually say that nowadays we have changed our organization a bit. So earlier we had more project engineer positions than we probably have at the moment. So we have divided our organization a little bit differently. So now we have clearly a project management organization entity, which includes mainly the project managers and project engineers supporting the managers in their work. And then there are more like the other engineers are in the utility operations organization part, like the system engineers and process engineers. So it's a little bit difficult to say what is the typical description for the project engineer. So and in that respect, I also encourage to always take a look at the job ad, what is required and how it is described. What are the main responsibilities and tasks. But it can vary if you are, for example, dealing with our schedules, project schedules. It might be that you need to be able to use our scheduling system. But then if you are then helping with some more like a contractual topics, for example, then probably that kind of an experience is more needed, as the project management can be a really big and area. You might have really different kind of tasks and experience as well.
Yeah. There's also a question about from Haidar Garbi. Are you actively looking for experienced nuclear waste management experts too? Is that this left for the future?
So waste management experience, did I hear?
Yes.
Correctly. Well, we have waste management, a small unit responsible for that. So I don't know if, or I don't remember that we would have any open kind of a plans to hire there more people. But the situation changed, so it's always good to follow up of the open positions. But we are not planning to have a big group of waste management on that area, but it might grow in the future when we are kind of proceeding in this project.
I think this is also an interesting question from Tapio, and also this is reflecting a bit the wishes what from young professionals are coming from, to have really flexible employer regarding the location as well. So it's not only regarding the time, then working hours, the flexibility, but location. And Tapio is asking, are you hiring people? I mean, do you require that the people are working at Pyhäjoki, or is this, or they can be in different places? Of course, we are not talking about the pandemic situation, but for the future after.
Well, as you see here, there is this readiness to work at Hanhikivi in Pyhäjoki. It is really something that that is our focus. So in the recruitments, that we prioritize recruitments to Pyhäjoki. We are currently the majority of our employees are in Helsinki, but we have already about 80 persons located in Pyhäjoki. We are now, the pandemic has been an interesting experience, and as mentioned, our work has gone really good during these times, and we have been able to work remotely very efficiently. However, as our project is so complex and we need a lot of cooperation, a lot of communication with different parties, I see that, well, it depends on the work. For some work, it is good to be in Helsinki, but I would say that it is still either or, so that you should be located in Helsinki or Pyhäjoki, and in the future, in the long run, for most or majority of our personnel, the location is in Pyhäjoki. So we expect to work also face-to-face and not only remotely after the pandemic. But we will still keep the option to work also remotely, but it doesn't mean that you can be located in Paris, for example, all the time.
I
Okay.
should mention briefly, Pyhäjoki it's kind of a cool place. Like Helsinki winter can be a bit hit and miss. We had a good winter this year, but in Pyhäjoki it's quite reliable. You get good snow every year, and it's quite close to Sweden and Norway and the skiing locations in Finland as well. So there's plenty of opportunities for outdoor activities up there.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, Tim. Good point.
So you want to move afterwards. Okay. Lucinda's question about language, I think it was also related to the operators. I think you answered. And now it's the question, I think it will be the last question, because we answered most of the questions related to the entry positions, to the language, to the non-Europeans. And the question, very specific one from Carlos. I finished my master in nuclear engineering a couple of years ago. How many opportunities do you think someone has with only few years of experience? And how often do you release career opportunities to apply for these persons?
Yeah, maybe I just go to our recruitment process, also to use the opportunity to say a bit of that. So we have, during the year, we have 4 main recruitment waves. So we are constantly recruiting people. We are doing this together with our line management. They are very actively involved in the process. So we are, with HR, we are always then considering the project situation and their needs, and then we just make the decisions to launch the recruitments. So if there are some extra recruitment needs in between these waves, we might also open positions during these waves. And as mentioned, these summer trainee positions are opened in the beginning of the year usually. So by following our open positions, well, we publish them in our website, and then also, for example, in the LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, or all those. So that is a good way to see if there are suitable positions open. And you can also send an open application there on that website. There is a link to that. But we don't take, just for your information, we don't take applications through emails. That is due to data regulation. So we would like to have everything in through these web links and to our recruitment system. All our managers have also access to that system, so it's a good way to spread the application to everyone. And we truly go through all those open applications as well. So, but basically we have a resource plan which is done for all the project years. So we have a plan until the 2028. So that's the framework what we are using, and then we are discussing with the managers that is this still applying, should we change something, and that's why we are not basically creating jobs just like that if somebody pops up, but we really have a need for that, and that's why it's important to follow our open positions. but yeah, but the background, it sounds kind of really good. So we definitely appreciate anyone who has the nuclear industry background or the study background. So these are really important to us, and we have seen that it's not always easy to find good candidates or suitable candidates. Well, definitely they are good, but not exactly always what we are looking for. And that's why, although you would be kind of rejected in some process, it doesn't mean that you wouldn't be good for some other position. So it might be just a small thing that makes the difference. So and that's how people usually do also if they want to work in Fennovoima and in this project. They apply several times, and then it might be one day it might be a good match. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Any further questions, or should I go further with these slides?
Maybe we close the Q&A session now, because there's already we extended this time a bit, so I think I believe we answered almost all the questions what are related to the webinar subject. Paivikki, would you like to accomplish with your presentation?
Yes, so just few words still, just to mention that as I mentioned, that the good background, good education, good study history, they are elements that we are looking for, and of course then we are looking also for kind of a motivated people with a good attitude. So we appreciate if the persons are capable of living in an environment that is under changes, under pressure. So we are in a project phase, it's not stable yet, so it's important. But on the other hand, it's really important that you are kind of a quality oriented, safety oriented, so that you understand their importance. So it's quite demanding actually what we are looking at the moment, but yeah, don't be afraid to apply. So it's definitely, we are just still kind of a normal people, I would say. And then just quickly, couple of tips for you when you apply to Fennovoima. So from our perspective, this is from our recruiters. So perfect CV is compact, it's clear and relevant to the position, and it might be also a bit visual. So summarize what is essential. Include only relevant information, focus on current position and responsibilities. Don't extend the CV beyond the 2 pages if not really necessary. Be understandable, clear. Also modify your application based on the requirements of that open position. And if you are just a student or just kind of a young professional, you might not have that much experience yet, but consider your hobbies, for example. Consider if you are involved in some society I encourage to include those then if you haven't that much experience for example, in the nuclear industry. And some other work experience might help too. So in Finland, we have these summer trainee positions, and it's very common that all the students, they work during the summertime. And that's one way to kind of show that you are able to kind of handle the work life, and you have learned already something. You always learn something regardless of what you are doing. So it's just important to bring it up in the CV then, if you don't have that kind of that long history yet in the work life. So be creative in that sense, so that not only speak about the studies, but those are definitely interesting and important as well. And then when you are in our recruitment process, so we value modesty, equality, and honesty in Finland. So this is maybe some kind of a Finnish way of doing. But we also think that it is important that you are able to describe your development areas, not only explaining how good you are at something about your strengths, but be prepared also to describe your development areas, as we know that nobody is perfect. So we just want to understand that what kind of a person you are, and everyone has something to develop. And then in our process, the job interview is a dialogue. It's a two-way dialogue, and it's a discussion. So it's good if you ask questions, you are active. So that's good. So it's both sides to understand that would this be a good match. And then, yeah, just be yourself. Don't kind of try to pretend to be something that you are really not. So that's important. This was it. Thank you.
Many thanks to all of you. Many thanks for the tips and for your background and the stories you have shared. And I think in all the questions you have answered, I think this is very helpful for the followers and also the YouTubers. There are some thank yous also coming from the audience today. So from my side, thank you, Paivikki, for your time and bringing your colleagues. It was a great pleasure to prepare with you the webinar and then to listen on the job opportunities of your company. We will publish this afterwards on the YouTube, so please follow also our website with further career opportunities webinars. We plan by the end of September another 2-3 webinars under this ENEN Plus project. We have also ENS has also on LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is also a good tip for the young professionals to look for the different jobs opportunities and connect with others. ENS has a career and training platform. It's a closed platform that you can be part of. So just find it as this European Nuclear Society career platform, and you can be a member of it. We post also different job opportunities and open positions from our corporate members. So thank you very much for today. I wish you have a nice day, a nice afternoon. And good luck with all your projects, what you do. I'm crossing my fingers for further projects. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.